You may have noticed that our cocoa sector is facing a debt crisis. The farmers are in a dilemma. Do you smuggle it, or do you still sell it to Cocoa Board? That is a question that all farmers are having to grapple with because they aren't being paid. And so the president has called for an emergency cabinet session tomorrow to deal with this. As you know, cocoa is a major foreign exchange earner, and if we don't fix this, it has a ripple effect on the economy, but also on poor farmers who have cultivated and expecting something in return. And so this is a major conversation indeed. The president is hoping that tomorrow, with his team together, they can find a solution to this particular problem. So what really is what we know so far as this is concerned? If you look at the funding gaps that we have currently bags of 530,000 bags sold, 50,000 bags without buyers. So sitting there, somebody needs to buy that. There's a challenge there that we'll illustrate for you very shortly. And you have 70,000 bags yet to be cultivated. The problem is here, but then you also have here. Altogether would affect your ability to produce enough to make the funds available for other things, the economy, etc. Now, remember that Cocoa Board, by this time in previous years, would have gone for the syndicated loan. That money would have arrived some 1.3 billion thereabout, and that would have helped Cocoa Board deal with the challenges that they're currently facing. But the challenge wouldn't be there at all, because the farmers would have been paid, and the economy would have also benefited from that. That was cancelled, I believe, in the 2023-2024 crop season, because Cocoa Board felt they need to change strategy. It was difficult then at the time because of our debt restructuring. It made it impossible for us to go out there and borrow, right? So that was cancelled. They had to find another way of raising capital. So off-taker financing was then introduced into the mix. That then poses another challenge, and we'll hear from the produce buying companies when they join us pretty shortly. This is the picture, fundamentally for me, where the problem is. So you have the world price that is currently at 3,944, but at farm gate, we bought the cocoa at 5,272. That's a loss of $1,328. That, in a nutshell, is a problem with Cocoa Board and the debt crisis. Somewhere last year when we were making the purchase, somewhere in September thereabout, we bought it at 5,272 from the farmers. But then we go to the market to sell, and prices have dropped to 3,944. So what are you going to do? Nobody wants to sell now. For the 50,000 that is currently left sitting there, nobody wants to sell because the world prices has dropped quite significantly. We'll get the farmers themselves to weigh in on this. And this is a trend I'm talking about. So somewhere in September, you see where it is in terms of the price trajectory was there somewhere, right? But now it's dropped so fast. So the key question then is, what sort of forecasting did Cocoa Board do? Was this obvious that the price of cocoa, the bean, was going to fall on the world market? And it was very clear at the time, and I believe Cocoa Board will have a forecasting department, or must have a forecasting department that is able to look into the crystal ball to make decisions. And what really happened here? Didn't we see this coming? If we speak to the produce buying companies, they tell us that this was obvious, that there was a forecast that says that the prices were going to drop. So really what happened there, we will try and understand that. So this is how Cocoa Board does its own purchases in terms of determining the farm gate price. They look at the expected world price, and that is where the forecasting question comes to play. And that is where I guess they got it wrong, and horribly wrong, which is hitting our pockets. Expected production, exchange rate, outstanding cocoa commitments. Exchange rate is strong in terms of the cedi's appreciation against the dollar, but that also has another challenge because the cedi is so strong, you're not getting as much. You would if the cedi was, say, less strong against the dollar, because we are going to pay the farmers not in dollars, you're going to pay them in cedis. So that's another challenge there when it comes to the appreciation of the cedi. But then is the question, what price at the time when decisions were being made, cocoa prices at farm gate announcement this September of 2025, that Mark I showed you, at the time that we were making that announcement, of course, world price was 7,267. Good price. So we're very confident that if we offer the farmers 5,272, good deal. Because you're still going to make quite a killing on this. right? And so the 70% world price is the promise that was made to them. And so we gave them that, right? We gave them that. Farmers were happy. But then we saw what happened. And that is probably the commodity challenge. It's the same questions around gold right now. It just will change in a year. And then the question then becomes, where are your buffers? And where is the foreplanning to anticipate and to avert it taking a significant dip and then affecting economy as fragile as ours? We're seeing this play out in the case of cocoa. I guess there are lessons there. And tomorrow the president will sit with his team and try and fix it. But the cocoa problem is not just buying the beans and paying the farmers. They have to find money to do fertilizers, do insecticides, do spraying, flour, and then also do scholarship scheme, all promise from last year. The government was keeping its promise to the farmers, right? But that's really what it is. You make a promise, you have to keep it, in spite of what is going to happen on the world market. I guess the question then is anticipating. You always need to ask yourself when you're managing the economy, what really could be the worst case scenario a year down the line? If that scenario plays out, what will be our response? I guess it's a question that the president will be asking his team tomorrow. When we were making these promises and putting this on the paper for the farmers, did we anticipate this? And if we did, what was our strategy to intervene? I guess that will be clarified tomorrow when the president meets his team. So you've seen that there's cocoa politics at play here. Because the minority, they're weighing in. Of course, you can expect that to happen. And so they raised a few issues, including poor cocoa price forecasting, a point I just made. They've raised that, right? We'll try and get a fair bit from that side too, as far as this is concerned. But bottom line, Ghana's total exports in 2025 came down to 3.8 billion. That's a lot of money, right? And then you have the annual trend of cocoa production has gone up, right? That's there. So going up, lots of money coming in. Because there's a time we did a PM Express here when cocoa prices went through the roof, historical highs, never seen before, just like gold. 2 years ago, I believe, we were very, very high as far as cocoa is concerned, and it has dropped. So we made a killing from cocoa, right? As far as that is concerned, the time when cocoa prices was really, really high. And look at our Ivory Coast versus us. This has always been a challenge for me when I look at this, because how come Ivory Coast is doing so well? If you look at the Ivorians, they're doing very well at their 1.8 million in terms of what they are producing. We are here with 650. We can definitely do better. And then we are talking about Ecuador, which is 570,000 tons. And that clearly shows there's still an opportunity for us to even do better. But if you are not paying farmers, they are not incentivized to do more. There's also the Galamsey alternative, which many are turning to because it is immediate cash that they get. And then you look at the question of the farmer's dilemma. It's really about the farmers, bottom line. So how do you fix this problem? Not only for now, but for long term. Many will tell you that this has been coming for years. So my panelists will join me for a conversation tonight on this cocoa debt crisis.